We're live. This is Tio and the Arcane Bear. Tonight we're going to go over, I guess, or maybe we're not. Are we live? No. Yes, we are live. Okay, cool. So I seemingly have internet troubles almost no matter where I go. They follow me around. I wonder why that is. Multiple different internet connections and still having difficulties. But tonight we're going to go over something philosophical. The title of tonight's show is Blockchain Does Not Solve Anything. There's a reason why I wrote this title. I've been having a few conversations with people about, opening, they're starting to do SEC-based securities tokens, and people are talking about pushing the little guy out. And to some degree, they're right. But I think more importantly, what we need to overcome is the victim or prey mentality and the oppressor and victim mentality, because it's not healthy and it's difficult. So we're going to go over a few of those topics tonight. This is mostly a philosophical show, but I will answer a few questions about charting in the background, and then we'll dive in. So this is Tio with the Arcane Bear. Thank you, guys. So during those conversations that I was having, what I noticed is that the kind of reminiscent idea that people are coming up with is that, that the big man is holding them down, or that there's this kind of overpowering entity that doesn't allow people to reach their full potential. And while I agree there are problems in the banking system, the inflationary process, and all these other megalithic structures that might get in your way, those are obstacles, and those are obstructions that you have the opportunity to overcome. I think when we start to make excuses for why we're not successful, those become what we rely on. We rely on the fact that we think that there's some overpowering entity that's the oppressor, and then we fall into the victim mentality. And that's not a healthy place to be. There are many successful people that have overcome very difficult situations to be very prolific in their own character and their own being. So I was watching a Casey Neistat video the other day, and this is someone that he brought on. So I'm going to share you with Quentin Kenihan's story. So we'll dive in from here. Quentin was basically born with, he says, one sec here, I'll show you guys the IMDb page here. But here's someone that had a lot of difficulties in life and still managed to come out ahead. So Quentin Kenihan was born in February 27th. He's an Australian actor. He's a filmmaker and a television personality. He was in Mad Max Fury Road, and he directed and started his own film called Corpus Colossus. So he suffers from osteogenesis imperfecta. It's a congenital disorder that results in the inability to form or repair bone structure. So when he was born, all of his bones kept breaking. It's a very difficult state to overcome. Yet here's someone with all those obstacles, and screw the idea of some big conspiracy getting in our way here. Just from the human element, being stopped from your everyday problems is usually what people give into, right? Like, oh, I don't have enough money to do this or to do that. Well, what can you do to overcome those things? Those are the questions that we should be asking. And it's the reason why I don't think blockchain solves anything. We as a human species need to come out of the oppressor and victim understanding. It's seeing each other as the other, whether you're a victim or an oppressor to that degree. And it's really being more reliant on what we're capable of doing and overcoming, because we are a very resilient species. So he's done all these great things, yet with all these obstacles in the way, nothing stopped him. So you can find him here at Q Kenihan on Twitter as well. He's his long road to health. He did an amazing video with Casey Neistat the other day too, that kind of helped inspire these thoughts. But unless we overcome our own personal obstacles, tech isn't going to do anything for us. And as a matter of fact, it could actually get in the way and be detrimental to the growth of the species. These are very locked in ideas where once things go on the blockchain, they're almost immutable to some degree, right? You could remove all the tech and you could get rid of it, and then we're back to the Stone Age to some degree. But what's important, and I can't reiterate this enough, and I'm going through this in my own life, is that when I come to an obstacle, or you have to see it as an opportunity. You have to see it as an opportunity for your personal self to grow. So blockchain won't solve any of those problems that we're having as a species, because we're having them as individuals. The only way to overcome those things is to overcome them as people, not hoping or relying on the tech, or hoping or relying on a government to actually bring you through those problems either. And that's a really interesting standpoint. So on the IMDb page here, Quentin Kenihan is Australia's most unique celebrity. For many years, he's a national current affairs programs, as he's been highlighting his story to overcome this disability. He started his own TV series called Quentin Crashes. He's got a lot of wit and humor, and this is what's interesting, is here's someone that's had all these difficulties in life and still is able to overcome them. So the problem is, well, what are you having as a difficulty? You know, there's no superior power that's holding you down, right? Even with the problems in the money system and all this stuff, you're able to overcome that by being intelligent and focusing on what you love to do, by working hard, by being generous, kind, and amiable with other people. And the reason this came up for me is because of the conversation we're having with someone about the new tokenized versions of securities. We're like, oh, you're just going to push the little man out of the way. Well, the little man, the average Joe, is usually kept down by themselves. That's like 95% of the problem. The other 5% of the problem is, okay, there are economic difficulties and challenges, but the person who created, I believe, Alibaba, he started off with no money at all. There's a quote from that. It's if you're born poor, that's not your fault, but if you die poor, that's your fault. You have the opportunity to enrich your life by overcoming the things that get in your way to fulfill your dreams and your aspirations. And that's what Arcane Bear has been for me. So I'm going to keep this episode short tonight, so I'm gonna read you guys a poem that a friend has shared with me. It says, "As you set out for Ithaca, hope the voyage is a long one, full of adventure and full of discovery. Whether it's the Cyclops or the Lystrogirians, I don't know how to say that, angry Poseidon, do not be afraid of them. You'll never find things like that upon your way, as long as you keep your thoughts raised high. As long as a rare excitement stirs your spirit and body, Cyclops, Lystrogirian, or the wild Poseidon, you won't encounter them, unless you bring them along inside your soul, unless your soul sets them up in front of you. Hope the voyage is a long one. May there be many a summer, a morning when, with what pleasure and what joy, you come into harbors for this unseen for the first time, and may you stop at Phoenician trading stations to buy fine things, mother of pearl, coral, amber, ebony, sensual perfumes of every kind, as many sensual perfumes as you can, and may you visit Egyptian cities to gather stores of knowledge from their scholars. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you are destined for, but do not hurry. The journey is all better if it lasts for years. So by the time you are old and you reach the island of Ithaca, wealthy with all you have gained upon your way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you this marvelous journey, and without her you would have not set out. She has nothing to give you now, and you find her poor. Ithaca wouldn't have fooled you. Wise as you will have become, and so full of experience as you will have understood by then what these Ithacas mean." And this has been an extremely inspiring part for me too, because what's important here is that whatever your soul sets upon on your path, on your journey, those are your personal experiences to overcome and enrich your life. If there's not some over-oppressor who's holding you down, and I know we have those problems, but the majority of the time it is our individual beings. We are in a very free state of society. I can fly all around the world. Now again, we're working to fix problems. There are many problems on the planet. We need solutions for those things, so we need to focus on solutions. And the best way to focus on those solutions, in my mind, is to understand how powerful we are as individuals to overcome them, to build better businesses, to build better thought patterns, mentalities, how we focus and create with other individuals. So that's just my quick philosophical thought of why I don't think blockchain solves anything. I think what we're doing is creating technology that gives us the tools to, again, overcome obstacles that we're having. Decentralization of power, I think, is an inevitable at this point. So regardless of the growing pains that we get through securitized tokens or invested accreditors or whatever nonsense, those are the things that will be set upon our path to enrich our life and our experience through what we have to grow through. So I'm going to answer a few questions, whatever you guys might have about the markets tonight. I know this really had nothing to do with blockchain specifically, but I just want to reiterate that because we're the most valuable part of this world that we live in, to ourselves and the people that surround us, our family, our friends, that's what makes us rich. The fresh air, the clean, or hopefully cleaner water as we go, that's what makes us wealthy. Money will only do so much for you. So it's important to always remind ourselves that we have to overcome those obstacles to enrich our life. So let's take a few questions now. Again, I apologize for, well, I don't apologize. Actually, really don't care. I wanted to share these philosophical thoughts because I absolutely think that the wealth of content and the richness that we can communicate to each other is just that. These are decentralized forms of communications of value, which is exactly what Bitcoin is, and we can do it ourselves by communicating with people in our family, by communicating with people in our communities about what is happening, and trying to invigor and inspire them to be themselves. So anyways, let's answer a few questions and we can take a look at the charts. I've got, you guys have me for another 5 minutes essentially before I'll jump offline here. Oh, nice. So if you guys can remember to give us those thumbs up, it helps other people later on down the stream find the information they're looking for. I know a bunch of people are likely looking for charts and stuff like this, but I can't stress enough how important it is to have a rich internal life and to grow and to build that. It's extremely important. So let's take a look. Tony Matassa says, what do you think about Tone Vase and other people saying we're going to below 6K with no bull market this year? I would disagree with that only because I know that there's a large amount of momentum going on in the background that we're not privy to. Tone Vase is also one of the people that just says a bunch of nonsense. So I wouldn't necessarily place bets on what Tone Vase has to say about it. Could we go lower? I did say I thought we would see the $8,500 mark on Bitcoin a few weeks ago before I rode that nice little wave up. So it's still possible that we hit that $8,500 mark. So let's take a look here. But lower than that, I think it would be hard pressed. The consensus. Where's Bitcoin? The consensus conference is coming up soon, and that always seems to move the markets quite significantly. We invigor each other's mentality. This decentralized ledger system isn't going anywhere. To think that it would be worth less at this point, I think is highly contradictory of what we all know is happening in this space. But I do think $8,500 for Bitcoin is still very probable because I said it was very likely a few weeks ago. So we're going to have to wait and see basically essentially what happens. Again, this is a game of emotions. I know that don't invest anything you can't afford to lose. If you have to pay bills and you're in the positive, take that money out, pay your bills, take enough money out to survive for the next few months. Do the things that benefit and enrich your life, that make what you do feel more enjoyable, that make the life for others around you more enjoyable. I don't even know how to explain how important that is from a deeply sentimental and almost, I guess for lack of a better word, spiritual concept at this moment. So on Bitcoin's chart here, we'll remove that. On Bitcoin's chart here, we could easily see $8,500. I had mentioned that before. So we could come back down to this 382 line, seeing as we touched off it, but we're turning up currently. So it's hard to say. We'll have to wait and see. I think we'll probably touch this 0.5 line one more time. If we do touch this 0.5 line one more time, we will likely come back down to 8,500. If we don't and we break through it, well, that's a different story. Again, we haven't been able to break through that 0.5 line. We've hit it once, twice in the last few weeks here. So keep an eye on that. But other than that, again, this technology isn't going to save anyone. Your life can be enriched by very simple things, by enjoying what you already have, by realizing how wealthy and rich you already are. I've visited indigenous cultures around the world where they don't have much money, they don't have shoes on their feet, but they are rich and wealthy with the family and the community that they live in, and their basic life is significantly more wealthy than most people's lives who have a lot of money. And that's a difficult concept to understand when you don't, or you're struggling. But you're struggling most likely not because of an oppressor, but because of our own ability to overcome the obstacles that have been set upon our way by our soul that will make our lives richer. So that's basically the conclusion of this episode tonight. I know it's a little off the beaten path, but I love sharing with you guys this more esoteric thought, and so we'll go from there. I'll see if you guys have one or two more questions to fill in the 15-minute mark, and then we'll dive off. Yeah, Tone Vase says a bunch of nonsense, that's for sure. He thinks everything's a scam coin. But Bitcoin does hold a lot of weight and value. So aside from the fact that he's wrong, like categorically wrong, and leaving massive amounts of value left out on the table, which is horrible for any investor to do, he's not making a whole lot of sense. What do I think of stocks? I've sold all my stocks in the early of 2017 to move into the digital asset world. So I'm not a fan of stocks anymore. Let's see here. Chris says, okay, BTC, Bcash, something isn't even a good token. If you understand the tech, BTC won't be able to scale properly. I don't agree with that. BTC is more than able to scale properly. We have a great tech team, so it's very easy to see. But I do also agree with you here, Chris, though, that the LTC, Litecoin will likely be the currency payment system. It has been a hell of a lot more stable, and that's one of the things you want from a currency. You want a currency that doesn't fluctuate, but if you were to have a currency that didn't fluctuate, why the hell would you even invest in that? There's no way to make money off of that, which is why most of the people are buying these digital assets in the first place, or for their usability, which is why their value is worth more. That's a very important factor. If you buy a generator because you know that because winter is coming, you can then sell that generator for more during winter than you could in summer because the likelihood of needing that generator is significantly higher. That's an investment on return of energy, and that's a significantly different process. One or two more questions and thoughts here. True wealth is health and great relationships. I absolutely agree with you, Alex. We purport that thought. Are you worried about whales accumulating BTC and LTC or ETH to manipulate the market? Look, free markets are not manipulated. They're moved by interest, and that's not a manipulation. So it's basically about learning how to hold on for the ride during that process, because big money is going to find its way in, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to dive offline now. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I know this was a very off the beaten path show tonight. Keep an eye on $8,500 Bitcoin, as it is very possible. But other than that, I think we're in for a very beautiful year and ride into this crypto space. There's a lot going on that we're not privy to, and that big money I don't think is going to be of detriment to us. I think it's going to move it even higher. But it does give the ability to move the markets, and that's not manipulation. That's simply a free market. Thank you guys all for joining us. Again, remember to give us those thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. If you feel like sharing it, please do that as well on places like Reddit or whatever it might be. Quora, we try our best to answer questions there every now and then. If you haven't yet, please check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Steemit, LinkedIn, any of those other crazy social media channels that happen to be there as well. Thank you guys so much for all your support. We've got another few weeks here in Thailand, Bali, and Singapore before we fly back to Costa Rica. We're going to be doing a conference in August in Costa Rica, so keep your guys' eyes on that. It's going to be very limited for how many people we can actually bring in. I think we're probably only going to sell a few hundred tickets, so they will sell out very, very quickly. So we'll release all that information once everything's set in stone and we've communicated with everyone that's coming to speak and prevail or to share, because it's more of an unconference. It's not a conference. We want to have more of like a group communications discussions with break-off rooms where people can go and do their own things. It's in these beautiful caves down in Costa Rica. So it's close for a lot of the people that are in the United States. It's a great little getaway. It's a beautiful time of the year for those of you that like surfing as well. So we're excited to do that. And then we're going to be flying to Bolivia as well to visit some orphanages and buy all the kids' instruments, which is something I've had deep in my heart and wanting to do for the last few months, but business has kept me moving forward. So again, thank you guys for all the support. I couldn't do it, or I would do it without you, but I would just be making videos because I love to, and I did that anyways before, but this community that's growing, like if you check out the Telegram channel, there are so many brilliant minded people that come together to help educate, to help share, to overcome their obstacles in life. So I'm deeply grateful. We'll see you guys on the other side.